One of the questions that people ask is why now? I think the Podman Desktop has been launched a couple of years ago. The amount of interest in an open source tool that people can use to build containers, container management, and to be able to deploy quickly to Kubernetes is a massive need. 1.5 million downloads so far, and the retention rate is pretty great. So we realized that this is a great time to contribute to the CNCFs.
Also, I think that the project has evolved from we start managing containers. Right now, we developers need to do other things, like, for example, managing LLMs, how to run LLMs locally in their production machines. So I think that with Podman Desktop AI, that is a great way also to evolve. It's not only about managing containers, but it's also about how the new challenges that developers are having, especially with the new AI tools, and how Podman Desktop is going to help them in order to integrate not only the containers, but also the LLMs. What are the right LLMs, how to run those locally, how to test those, how to fine-tune those. All of those things is also great Podman Desktop for. And we are very excited to share all of this, not only as a project that belongs to us, but also intend to contribute to the CNCF community.
That's a great point there. The key part of the Podman Desktop is an extension concept. So people can build, we have obviously have built certain extensions. Also the Podman Desktop can actually work with Docker desktop extensions as well. So think of Podman Desktop as a developer desktop tool, like a place where developers, building containers, testing containers, and testing applications, and deploying testing locally and deploying remotely. And so this becomes a central point for developers. Developers live in three different places, I think. One is IDE, with the VS Code, IntelliJ, and any other IDEs. Other is obviously the laptops where they're actually developing the software. And the third is the portals, which is where you have internal developer portals available. But the Podman Desktop, for example, now becomes a central point where innovations can happen through CNCF, large ecosystem, to build extensions. And I think it's a great way and AI is definitely a great use case. Mm-hmm. Even kids are seeing, AI, AIO instead of EIIO. So the AI lab extension is a great way for developers to build, test applications locally. It is expensive to use external LLM models. Mm-hmm. By having a local way to build AI applications and test it is a great way for developers to get starting on the AI application journey.
Yeah. 2 years ago, we were talking about productivity as the main challenge for developers, and we were talking about the inner loop and the outer loop. The inner loop is where developers need to develop their code. That is the place where, okay, I need to ensure that this code runs, but the problem was always I need to run this in my own machine. And then we were talking about how to migrate that to the outer loop, how to make those apps in production, and how to ensure consistency between all of that. Now we are talking about the next challenge, that is, where are those sources of information coming to the inner loop, and then is when we are talking about the LLMs models. So the challenges for developers has been evolving for more centric on productivity, how to ensure that you are productive and you ensure that you write good code, on how to integrate these new sources of information with the LLMs that are coming, how to integrate those into my apps. And Podman Desktop is a great tool to do that.
I think on the Podman Desktop, I think that the key areas is that developers are able to not only build the containers, make it into pods, which is essentially the atomic unit in Kubernetes, and also be able to deploy to Kubernetes. So we have a Minikube integration as well as an OpenShift local available in the Podman Desktop, and also you can remotely deploy to remote Kubernetes as well. And that's a great way for developers to not only build a container, test the containers, and be able to make it into Kubernetes applications, because that's how it's going to go to production.